Um, the next portion of our agenda today is our CoC business meeting. And we have a little bit less time than anticipated for this, but I think we'll be all right. During the CoC business meeting, we are going to take public comment. We'll have a brief presentation, and then we are going to do our voting portion of today to confirm the governance charter and the policy and procedures manual that was so graciously explained by Mo and Simone this morning. So just to get a little bit of an idea for time, if you're interested in doing public comment, would you mind raising your hand? Okay, I see 3 hands. Perfect. Feel free to come up here and line up. And we're going to do 2 minutes per person for the public comment. And then if you don't feel comfortable speaking to the wide group on the microphone, that is also okay. Take a look at your tables, and there are paper comment cards, little white index cards where you can write your comments. And if we have time, we will also read those out to the group on your behalf. Yeah, so again, if you're interested in speaking on the microphone, come on up and we'll do a few minutes of that before we go to the voting portion. Thank you so much. And just introduce yourself to the group.
Hi, I'm John Janosco. I'm a member of the Wood Street Commons community, homeless encampment that was evicted about a year ago, all of us. And what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing a lot of is we're placing people back into a system that in a sense failed them or they couldn't handle. And I feel like that we need to find ways to put people back in a place where they want to be, not where we think they should be or what's been out there all these years. I go to a place in San Francisco every Wednesday, and we were talking about this yesterday, that we're still trying to push the old narrative on people. And obviously that narrative is not working. We're spending billions and billions and billions of dollars and adding more committees and more of this and more of that and oversights, but nothing's really changing. So I think the great minds that are here, we need to change our thinking a little bit. You know, this is not working, it hasn't worked, and we need to it's hard to specifically just focus on one person because we're trying to save the masses at the same time. But I think we really do need to step back a little bit and try to find ways to focus on individuals. And a very simple way that I've found that works in my community is people from these organizations and these communities and these committees maybe coming out and spending a weekend out there barbecuing with music and just hanging out like we used to do in the old days. So we get to know each other more. And that's one of the things that's lacking is that there's not trust and communication built up before we make these decisions for people. So I always go back to just the simple things that creates bonds between everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you. Yeah, here you go, Ray.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ray. I'm part of the youth committee and our youth advisory board in Alameda. I kind of wanted to just talk about that racial equity part. I love to see examples and see it played out. So I wanted to ask a question, but it kind of referred to just around what's an example of racial equity working within our community? And that's kind of like what, I forgot his name, but he just spoke, kind of explained, yeah, John, connecting with the community first, and then that kind of builds trust, right? Like a rapport. And then that's one example of how you can connect and then build that racial equity part into it, and then still be able to connect with youth, which means you're helping everyone instead of just one set of people. And so I kind of, yeah, that's kind of my question. Like, how are we reaching everyone and how's it working for everyone? Kind of like that sidewalk example. But what's an example where it works within racial equity? Because I see that on that map. That's the circle around everything. So I think if it starts from the middle and then it broadens out into the mid, and then that mid broadens out into the racial equity part, I think everyone can jump in and be like, all right, let's put some funding towards that, and those barbecues and those connections between the community. And then I think that would be one way of how to build that like housing within the community, and then anticipating that there's going to be more. So always going above and beyond, right? So instead of reaching 100%, reach that 120 or 150 more percent, so that when the next people come in, if they do, right, because it looks like it's still reoccurring by 418 to 420. So we can see that it's still continuing on. It's not really decreasing, even though it's like increased only a little bit, which is great. But yeah, so that's just my question. And then I love the example. So I wanted to say like kudos to creating this entire presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ray. I got you. I got you. Thank you.
Every now and then.
I'll just hold it right here.
Hi, my name is Betsy Morris. Have the privilege of being the co-convener of the East Bay Gray Panthers, a 50-year-old organization that worked very hard for Medicare, Medi-Cal, and senior affordable housing back in the previous decades. And as we joke, our brand is outrage. So I am actually not here to bring that outrage directly here, because I'm pretty sure almost everyone here is outraged at the situation that's happening with our housing policies, strategies, programs never being enough and really being poorly planned. So you all, to me, are the frontliners and urgently need that sustainable funding sources. And what I do want to bring to here, and I'm privileged to follow these two people with lived experience. My experience comes from phone calls from seniors, people with disabilities, not as many as you all get, but phone calls from people who are about to lose their family home or have family who are essentially evicting them onto the street. And I have a call from an 83-year-old woman who's been living in her car because that is actually the safest, best place. And she has worked every part of the system possible in Contra Costa County. And she was saying, is there something in Alameda County? And I honestly couldn't say there was, because in of course, you all are you're minding the store to the best of your ability. We would like, though, the Gray Panthers, after thinking about as best we can, the system as we understand it, which we understand is kind of cobbled together, but not long-term emergency functioning the way I think we need. So we'd like to propose that the process to resolve complaints and grievances and evaluations should not be left up to individual agencies, but rather we'd like to encourage you and work with you to create an office or a committee that would handle grievances, complaints, evaluations. Thank you. Yes, because we think oversight should be more than the functional agency staff who are dependent on the funding for their jobs. We think that this is a critical citizen need, and I'm over my time. So we have a bunch of ideas I would be glad to share. I have a whole background that I would love to share as well, but we're working on it. So I want to say we also believe that more clients, in our case, members of Gray Panthers, more clients should be hired or integrated into the budget structures of your programs. And that while considering the impact of work hours on benefits and housing. The last thing I want to encourage is, who could I speak to about encouraging you to join the Social Housing Coalition, a statewide coalition that brings in tenants, housing developers, and so far, not you all, because you're the frontline emergency, you're our FEMA, and you are so important. We just want to know more about how you're working and have relationships so we can support you to be even better, as well as working with our unhoused neighbors to help them. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Betsy. Definitely, let's connect. Yeah, happy to connect you more to CoC work. Welcome.
My name is Freeway. I'm with Tree Commons as well. I just wanted to comment on something that I've noticed. It's amazing that we have the lived experience criteria. A few years ago, we never heard that term. There were policies being made for us by people who had no idea what we were going through. And that's a really positive step in the right direction. Something I've noticed is that while that's a really positive step in the right direction, there is a major population in the unhoused community that's either being not represented or misrepresented. It's not a secret that a really large number of unhoused individuals struggle with substance use issues. And um, and it's not getting any easier. Um, in the last 48 hours, I've had to try to do have reversed an overdose on 2 different people that are very close to me. It's getting worse every day. And the policies that are being created are not representing the needs and the ideas of the people who are most affected by these policies. So I would like to see more inclusion and more lived experience specifically from the population of people with substance use issues, people with mental illness issues. I think that until that happens, the representation that you're getting, the data you're getting, it's not going to be fair or uh, um, accurate. Thank you. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time to represent today. We really appreciate your participation here. Rashima, you're next.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rashima White. I am from the unhoused population. I do have lived experience living in tents underneath bridges. My main thing is I'm a housing navigation supervisor. I've been in this field for many, many years now because it is my passion. My thing is I've seen a lot of revolving doors for the homeless population, where we get them housed and then somehow they become unhoused. I feel like we need more support in building them up because they're not aware of to keep stabilized, to be fully housed. It's like we get them housed, and then once we get them housed, we don't continue the aftercare part of it. So where the aftercare part is making sure that they know how to pay rent, making sure they know how to get PG&E turned on, making sure they know the fundamentals, because being homeless, you don't have those responsibilities. You see, so that's my main focus. And then also the organizations like, for instance, Downtown Streets Teams, that's basically what saved me. And organizations like that where the funding gets cut off, no. We need to find more funding for those type of entities that are willing to help, willing to build you up. Because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I just want to thank you for the time. I want to thank you for the organization. And I just want to thank you, period. Thank you.
Thank you again for all the wonderful public comment that we're receiving today. I want to just reiterate that these stories and these perspectives are things that we need in our committees as well. Public comment is not your only opportunity to be here and share and represent, and we are really grateful to have the space to create that for us as a community here in the committee work. So I hope everyone stays connected. Thank you. All right, we have a little bit of time to go through our voting items, and I've got a slide deck here that is repeat of what we did this morning. So Mo's going to walk us through it relatively briefly, and then we're going to do our vote.
All right, thank you. So we have two documents that are actually on, I think, our website as well as on the table there. They're just a revised governance charter. We have not changed a lot of things in here. We've just changed small items. I think they're highlighted in there. This is something that actually our regulations require us to go over every year, so to make sure that we keep it up to date. It has been approved by both the Policy and Procedure Committee here as well as the Leadership Board. So we also have, we're going to confirm the Policies and Procedures Manual, which is the other document that's on your table there. And these are the only two things that we're voting on here today. It's kind of housekeeping more than anything else. I don't know if we're having this in one vote or two votes.
To do it in one.
Yeah, okay, it's one. So what is the next slide? So is it?
Yeah, this is all read.
Yeah, so this is just sort of a little bit of coverage here again. We actually did, we looked at these in 2022. What we're doing here is we're updating the information here. The transition committee provided these in the roles and responsibilities of our group, finalized the documents that you see here. They were approved by the leadership board. So we have been working on these diligently for over a year. So the final version here was approved, as you can see, in September by our leadership board. So I don't know if I have to explain all this again because we did go over it this morning. But we, the policies and procedures are things that can be changed a little bit more easily and will be added to as we go along as the committees develop each one of their parts of the policies and procedures. So we're going to do that. So we're now going to vote, and I guess the leadership board has put into puts a proposal together towards the CoC, which is all of you, to adopt the two documents and revisions in them that you have been put before you on your tables and have been able to review online. And I would like to have a second for that, if I could. Oh, Simone seconds it. So it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or comment? And we can pass the mic around for anybody who wants to say anything. Seeing none, I guess we'll vote by raising your hand if you agree with the motion. So all in favor, raise your hand. Is somebody counting over there at the table? So, okay, so all who do not agree with the motion? Any abstentions? Okay, it looks like the motion passes. Thank you very much. Relatively simple. And, well, we already did that.
Yeah, that was if we had extra time, we would have gone back to it.
Okay,
But we don't have extra time. It is time for lunch.
okay.
Oh, Simone, did you want to make a comment?
I just wanted to make a quick public comment. I meant to say this earlier in the presentation. I just want to shout out the Racial Equity Committee for all the hard work you've done and for ensuring that the work that we're doing here in the CoC is truly centered around racial equity. So thank you to Nick Ming, Susan Shelton. I saw Tanisha earlier, Miss Shelley, and everyone else who's been a part of that committee that I may have missed. I don't have a list in front of me, but I appreciate all the hard work that